I think that what I've really tried to teach myself is that like we see the consequences of negative human impact so often, but that's human impact. Like that's how much impact we are able to have as just a single organism on this earth. So how can we flip that to positive human impact? There are going to be certain invasive species where you can't just burn it and call it a day and it's fixed forever. Like you might have to go back and use your opposable thumbs and be that keystone species. But that's what we need to do, not only for Mother Earth, but also for our mental health.
Yeah, absolutely, right? At a certain point, you gotta actually get in there and do something.
Absolutely.
And I guess speaking again of getting in there and doing something, there are successful examples, I suppose, that we can point to of this kind of thing working, right? Personally, I have followed pretty closely the efforts at rewilding the LA River. And there's also examples in Northern California, as we mentioned up at the top, people blaming the fires on salmon about like rewilding the Klamath River, getting rid of the Klamath River dams. Are there maybe other sort of successful instances of this kind of action, or just of other things that sort of more broadly tie into what indigenous communities have been asking for in terms of like land back and the land back movement that we should be like trying to emulate moving forward?
Yes. So I would say the damming of the Kalamath River, or the removal of the dam of the Kalamath River, and the work that those indigenous folks are doing up there is an excellent example of stewardship. There are, I want, like, honestly, countless examples of positive land back that is happening. It really is just for people to do their research and find it. And like I said, it's not just indigenous, it's also just humans in general. So, my two favorite examples literally on the planet, one is the Caribbean Rock. You can look it up. It was this island that was called the Rock because it was goats and rats that had taken over and literally eaten an invasive species, and they had eaten or taken over everything on this island that, usually should not be able to be restored. But the Caribbean people were able to restore it in less than a decade. And then what was even more extraordinary than that was in Great Britain, the start of all this junk. They had they had this I mean, they've had these wetlands that used to have storks there, and they did about 10 years of land restoration work, and after 600 years, they had storks return to Great Britain. Even the British are getting their relationship back to Mother Earth. That's how radical this stuff is happening